we had our first solo Cash Cup finals of the season, and you're probably sick of hearing this. I don't even know why I'm saying it. We had it won by none other than Peterbot. He has now won the first trio and solo finals of the season, starting off what a lot of people are saying will become the flawless season. Now I'm going to talk about how the games went, show you guys some funny moments that happened in the tournament because it was hilarious. We also have to talk about EU. We had a super intense tournament that came right down to the very last game. I want to talk about what's coming out in the update in a couple of days, how much do I think it'll change the game, and what are the POI changes we have right around the corner. Mars Meadows is apparently going to be completely changed. There's a lot to talk about. Let's jump into it. We got to kick off with the big one. Some of you guys might be sick of hearing about him, but it is what it is. Peterbot has just won the NA Solo Cash Cup Finals, the first one of the season, meaning he has now won the trio and first solo tournament of the season. He won on 396 points, playing 8 matches, winning 3 of them with an average elims of 7.13. Now, Muzz, who came in second, put up a phenomenal performance, getting 380 points. He had 29 eliminations. Peterbot had 57. He managed to get a 10 elim win, a 9 elim win, a 15 elim win, and that is pretty much the majority of his points. He had a few other decent games here and there, but it's pretty much off the back of 3 huge pop-off wins. And there was some hilarious moments in these ones I want to show you guys as well. First off, I had tuned into Peterbot in replay mode. He wasn't even streaming, and I was trying to figure out why he was standing next to a trash can until this happened. The unspoken trade. This is amazing. I mean, Storm's coming, buddy. You got to get out. You're going to die. Pete obviously no. I'm guessing Pete hit him this week. Oh, no, you're going to die. You got to get out. Oh, Jez and Jerem's coming in. Wait a second. Jez could ruin it. Oh, no. Are you going to die? Oh, he's out. And he's dead. Oh, now we're going to kill Jez and Jerem as well for good measure. Why not? Now, obviously, Pete wasn't just messing around the whole tournament. You don't get almost 400 points by trolling and memeing. We did have Pete absolutely putting on a W key clinic. As always, we even saw Pete going up against Reet, who is now officially back on controller in a 1v1 while they were both in the same call.
Come on, Nada.
Come on, Shiny Phone.
Bro, hop off my...
Bro.
King Reed!
Peterbot.
King Reed!
How are you alive, bro?
Wow.
How much did I just hit you for?
Oh, bro.
You're not at it.
And how does this guy...
Reet did almost have him after not touching controller for a month. Again, I talked about in yesterday's video. Reet is officially back on controller. He gave his reasons why today on stream. He said, look, his keyboard hand just always felt really funny and shaky every time he played. It didn't feel comfortable. His old binds that he was actually good on were terrible, and he was never going to get as good as he wanted on them. But when he changed his binds, he just couldn't be bothered relearning new binds, and all the effort would take him when he's already so good on controller. So he's officially back on controller. He still did earn today as well. He came 23rd overall, managed to get a few wins in there as well. He played phenomenal, got an 11 kill and an 8 kill win, so he's definitely still got it on controller. Now, the one thing that's worth talking about is the different loadouts. I feel like this is one of the most diverse loadouts we've ever seen in a solos meta. So outside of the meds as well, because the meds are totally different. Some people running chugs, some running gold splashes, some throwing minis, some people still going for the shield fish route. There was a lot of diversity. As far as the weapons though, pump is just the go-to. Everyone's still using the pump, understandably, but the main weapon of choice. Everyone is different. So Peterbot's been one of the main people saying that the burst rifle is one of the best W keying weapons, even over the collateral. But in most of his big games today, he was actually still running the hollow twister AR. Meanwhile, he would run the suppressed mythic pistol if he gets his hands on it. We did see him run the burst a little bit as well. He almost never ran the collateral, interestingly enough, because almost every other pro who was W keying on EU and NA that I could see was running the collateral. I would say that is your safest go-to goal if you want a W key. Most of the pros who are W keying consistently, who can get their hands on it, are running collateral, pump, and then obviously baseball bat, and then whatever meds they want to run. You will have to get enough refreshes to keep the ammo going with the collateral, and if you need to get surge, it is a bit of a nightmare, so keep that in mind. But really, I'm not seeing one loadout just be the best loadout right now. Almost everyone is running some variation of whatever they're just comfortable with. Some suppressed pistol, some collateral, burst. I've even seen a lot of people actually just running straight up suppressed pistols that aren't mythic. There is a lot of diversity right now. I do have to give a shout out to the rest of the guys at the top of the NA leaderboard leaderboard, because before we talk about EU is 1 on 369. So the fact that Muzz on 380, Dash on 378, Kanata on 377, Batman Booger on 374, the fact that all of these guys didn't win, the fact that Batman Booger just came 5th on 374 is ridiculous. They all played phenomenal. Honestly, the entire top NA leaderboard is just a who's who. We have Rapid, Acorn, Sphinx, Yomzo, Seek, Void, Scared. Like, it just goes on and on. The list is completely stacked. Hari in 18th from EU. I don't know how this guy is one of the most consistent players on NA from EU trios and solos. He made both finals this week. We also had Poyo, who put on a massive showing at the start. If you guys saw my react video, Poyo dropped a 31 kill game, looking insane. Started off really hot, but unfortunately slowed down towards the end. There's been a lot of focus around Clix this season, this being his season. Is he in his prime? Is he going to win FNCS? He came 21st overall, which is not insanely impressive, but he finished off with a 12 elim win in his last game. He also got a 9 elim third, a 3 elim sixth, a 6 elim second. You're thinking, Aussie, those are 4 insanely good placements. How did he come 21st? He went down on spawn every single other game. He actually ran out of games. He got the 12 kill win and then instantly got depressed because he had no more games to play. So next week, apparently Clix has said this 100% official. He is playing next week, not only with a stream delay, thank God, he is even going to get a professional therapist to sit in his call to make sure he keeps his emotions under check, because when he plays seriously, when he locks in, he doesn't get emotional, he pops off. But right now he just gets bored, does dumb stuff, gets triggered, and then goes into the next game still triggered and plays bad. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Showed a lot of potential, but unfortunately didn't really have the consistency. Moving on over to EU, we had an incredibly stacked tournament again. Like I just said, first place Haris did it on 369 points, not as many as NA. And I know some people always seem to misinterpret this. Oh, it's because EU's a worse region, that's why their pros aren't doing as well. It's usually the opposite. The top tier on NA right now is insane. The very top of NA is absurd. I'm so excited for LAN to see how these guys stack up against the top of EU. But as we've always said, there's just over twice as many pros on EU because of the massive population difference of the servers. So usually like the 600th best player on EU is considerably better than the 600th best on NA, meaning it's harder for the top tier pros to get as many points like Peterbot and so are doing. So I don't want to say like, you know, EU got less points, therefore they're worse. I think a lot of people misinterpret that. It was still an incredibly good performance from Haris. 8 matches, 1 win. He got a 5 elim win. He got a 9 elim third, an 8 elim third, and a 7 elim 14th. Very, very good performance across the board. Super consistent. Only an average elims of 4.5, an average placement of 24. Doesn't sound like a lot, but that is very consistent for these lobbies. Ping got second on 354. He almost clutched it up with a massive last game. He got a 5 elim second in the last game, but just didn't have enough points to do it. It is worth mentioning skill-based matchmaking has now been turned off for the Solo Cash Cup finals. This was unlike last season. Last season, we're having really big queue issues. Pretty much whoever got into the last queue in the last game and still had a decent game usually went on to win. Now we have multiple games popping at the very end of the tournament because there's no skill-based matchmaking. It does mean though points are probably going to push up a little bit higher. The last few games are quite difficult anyway because the only people left with games are usually the better players. But if you go through the EU leaderboard, the first person I can see who went through all 10 of their games is Shark in 17th. So the top 16 players still had games left. Now, again, talking about Shark, he ended up getting coached by Veno. There's a lot of hype around Shark right now. I do think potentially the pressure of Veno watching him, having so many viewers and, you know, having such a prestigious player in his call did mess him up a little bit. Shark's been getting a lot of attention for how ridiculous he's playing right now. He still made money. He still played well. He struggled a little bit in the middle, but he brought it back at the very end. He got an 8th, a 4th, and a 3rd in his last 3 games. So I think he kind of started to deal with the pressure a bit more, started to kind of get in the swing of things and started to pop off, showing what he can do. So I'm excited to see what he does the rest of this season. We had big performances from Khan and Scroll. I've hyped up Scroll a whole bunch as one of the most ridiculous players on the worst keybinds ever. If you haven't seen that, essentially he plays Combat Pro mouse and keyboard. He has to switch to his weapons and then scroll through all his weapons and then switch to his builds and then scroll through all his builds. It's insane. He almost won the tournament. He came 4th, started off so hot, unfortunately slowed down a little bit towards the end, had a 98th and a 33rd, but he had an average placement outside of those games of roughly like a top 6. He played insanely well. We also had LASIK in 5th, probably the first player I haven't really recognized on these leaderboards. It is worth mentioning, whether you love or hate the new changes with TPM and Secure Boot and all of the stuff that Fortnite's been doing, there was way less cheaters in this week's tournaments, trios and solos. Now, I'll talk about NA West in a second because I don't know why all the cheaters just on NA West, but as far as EU and NA goes, I watched both tournaments and I didn't see a single player die to a cheater. I'm sure there's some of them, but compared to last season when I was talking about how cheaters might be killing Fortnite competitive, it has gotten so much better. There's always going to be less well-known pros on NA West. I understand that. I'm not just saying they're cheaters because they're not well-known, but apparently other pros are saying so. Bolts is saying there's 5 cheaters inside the top 10 on NA West. I have no idea what is going on with this region. They had a ridiculous bug in their Div 1 finals where Game 6, everyone was on just like 1,000 ping and pack loss. Fortnite never said or did anything about it. I think they're just letting NA West do its own thing and just pretending it doesn't exist at this point. A lot of you guys have been commenting on my videos and my streams asking Aussie, what is going on with this week's update? When are we getting mobility in the game? So we should be having the rocket drill added in the update on the 11th, which is tomorrow for most of you guys. I will make a video updating what's going on with that. I hope it does get added into competitive for the sake of solos. There's a lot of people losing their minds today trying to rotate with the baseball bats or no mobility and just getting beamed in the back. Hopefully we get something for the solo players trios. I don't think the rocket drill is going to have that much of an impact. A lot of pros are actually finding that the gold splash and baseball bat is a really good mobility meta. It can be frustrating at times, but it has been working pretty well so far. Even if they add the rocket drill in a comp, I don't know how many people run it in trios, but one thing that will have a big impact on trios potentially, especially on NA, is we had leaker Blotson talk about how Mars Meadows could be seeing a massive change throughout this season. The whole POI could be getting changed. He pointed this out because the bank inside it is called Maked Motorway Bank. It's the only bank or the vault in Fortnite right now that has a different name, meaning the POI shouldn't be Mars Meadows. It's going to become Maked Meadows or Maked Motorway. Don't really know what that means, but that sounds like we are getting a big POI change here for a job spot that has a lot of focus on it right now, especially on NA. Vidil and Acorn, this could be the deciding factor of whether one of them leaves, whether they both leave. This could shake things up in a very big way, and I don't know when this update is going to happen. It could, with the way Fortnite's been doing it, probably happen the week of FNCS.